Diddy really screwed up, and I'm not referring to his criminal trial, which has him sitting in prison right now, but it has to do with something that happened right before he got arrested. If you've seen the Netflix documentary about Diddy, Diddy The Reckoning, which 50 Cent produced, there's some footage there that had never been seen before. This is a photographer that Diddy hired to follow him around and document his life. That footage ended up going to 50 Cent.
And maybe that's what Snoop went through. I don't know. But let the people know, because it was too early back then. Pac just had died.
So this one night, 50 called me up, and they got him on the phone. Man, he was just talking. We was talking about old time shit. Sit down with Black Hands, sit down with with Puff Kids, the whole Puff situation, and this documentary that he's going to be doing.
Just when it looked like the storm was finally dying down, a brand new wave of viral videos flipped the entire narrative. This time, the spotlight swung hard towards Snoop Dogg. Suddenly, headlines started screaming that Snoop was panicking, laying low, even being shielded because of footage allegedly left out of the documentary. Some voices went further, hinting at hidden tapes, protected secrets, and unanswered questions. So what did Gene Deal really suggest? What did 50 Cent's documentary actually show, and what did it conveniently leave out? And how has Snoop truly responded behind the scenes? Most importantly, what can actually be confirmed, and what is pure online speculation?
I got this audio from Suge Knight. It's from his podcast with Dave Mays, and he's speaking on, Tupac and Snoop being cool, and how, after Tupac got killed, Snoop started hanging out with Diddy. And, he also speaks on how, Snoop, he did the Steve Harvey show with Diddy after Tupac got killed. Check this out.
Okay. Let's download right now.
Then you look at the scenario how everybody used Pac to make their stuff famous or make their project better. You got people who use their songs for Pac and tell them how much they love Pac, but they do songs for Puffy. You got Steve Harvey, old bit that, this motherfucker telling, well, Pac, according to everybody else, he brings Snoop and Puffy on there and say, these the dudes who's running this in the East Coast, West Coast.
What's up, Snoop?
What's up, huh? Hey, whoa. Wait a minute, fellas here. Hold on. I know all about this East Coast, West Coast rivalry thing here, but we in Chicago now. This rivalry stuff, we got to stop it, man. We stop that, we stop a lot of this violence.
Yo, Steve, check this, man. All that East Coast, West Coast stuff is a bunch of media hype. It's been my dog from day one, you know what I'm saying? It's all good between me and him. That's my people.
Real, that's what we came in for. We came in to light it up and ride it up. We making this shit happen.
Now, Pac, if you love Pac so much, how you with the motherfucker that everybody say got something to do with the first get down that happened to Pac in New York, then the second one.
What you think about Suge comments? And I never asked you this before, but did you have an issue with Snoop hanging out with Diddy after Tupac got killed?
I always felt that was wrong. I'm gonna just keep it real. I'm talking about from that. Like now, okay, you know what I mean? I'm 46, Snoop probably early 50s. If he figured out now, he might go by the opinion that, okay, Puffy had nothing to do with Pac. We grown now. If he want to be his friend, no problem. But back then, that was just awkward. You know what I mean? And the reason why it was awkward to me that I never even like it because you knew how Pac felt about this individual. You know what I mean? Even if you don't agree with him, you probably could have said, you know what, I probably ain't gonna come out, publicly with this because until things clear up. So I really know I could be certain that, they didn't have nothing to do with Pac. But it's like, it was no, okay, it is what it is. So that I never really respected that back then.
So you had an issue with it. You didn't like it?
Never really liked it. It just was a strange look because you was Pac boy. You know what I mean? Puffy, it's clear they had some issues with Pac. And Pac died and all of a sudden you chilling with Puffy. Back then, it just, okay, now you can say what you want. All grandfathers, I guess. You know what I mean? That's different now. But back then, I think it was weird. It was tasteless. You know what I mean? It didn't seem like you really had that much love for Pac. You could have just, you know what I mean? Unless he pressured them or like questioned Puffy, like, yo, what's up with this? What's up with that? Then you could say, you know what I mean, no problem.
Snoop Dogg's name never appeared in court documents, indictments, or the federal charges that ultimately sent Diddy to prison. Yet online his name began trending alongside some of the darkest accusations imaginable. The fuel behind that surge wasn't paperwork but proximity and history. After decades in the industry, Snoop crossed paths with power players from both coasts, including Suge Knight during hip-hop's most chaotic years. When Gene Deal started suggesting in interviews that certain figures were nervous because not everything made the final cut of the documentary, speculation took off. Rumor channels amplified the idea, hinting that 50 Cent may have held back unseen footage, and Snoop became a convenient target. Famous, visible, and historically connected. Old clips resurfaced, prison interviews were reposted, and context blurred as assumptions filled the gaps, turning association into viral suspicion, despite the absence of formal allegations.
Like I believe somebody mentioned that they seen a video with me and the dude Prodigy or one of the dudes from our deep, as if I was with. They don't know the backdrop of that. I went to his hotel room ready to fight. Like, bro, I'll fight everybody in that room one-on-one. Even if I lose, it doesn't matter. The Outlaws was with me. My homie Tiny, the Mexican homie, was with me. I didn't go there and say, let me get in a video with these guys. I went there knocking on their door, doom, doom, doom. Tell them dudes to come out. What's up with y'all? What's up with y'all and Pop? You got a problem with Pop? Because we could just fight like man to man, face to face, and then shake hands. That was my approach with them. But when they told me they didn't have no problem, I don't mind being with you. You know what I mean? I don't mind shaking your hand because they told me they had love for Pop. So that's different. You know what I mean? If he come out and say, well, I already, I questioned Puffy about it. I believe that he didn't, he loved Pop. That's my opinion. I can move the way I want to move. So when people try to, I noticed somebody, I think on your page do that. Well, Napoleon was in the video with Mobb Deep. They don't know how I got in that video with Mobb Deep. You know what I mean? I pulled up on him but I'm the type of person, I never been a bully type of person. You know what I mean? If I talk to a person like a man and they tell me face to face, look, I got love for Pop, I'm comfortable to know if I can look in their eyes and if I believe what they said, I have the right to say, okay, no problem. I believe you. You know what I mean? And maybe that's what Snoop went through. I don't know. But let the people know because it was too early back then. Pop just had died. You know what I mean? Like he had the right to say, the reason why I'm rolling with Puffy, I questioned him about my homie. He gave me this answer. So then he did what he had to do. But it just, you know what I mean? I never really agree with that, to be honest. The same way I couldn't be on the stage with him. When they wanted to do that tribute, I just couldn't do it. Like I really felt in my heart, like, man, I can't believe.
This is where things start getting dangerous. When proximity begins to replace evidence, the conversation quietly shifts from facts to suspicion. And in moments like this, the loudest voices online are rarely the most reliable ones. Sean Combs. The reckoning was never presented as an industry-wide purge. It was focused specifically on Diddy, his rise through Bad Boy Records, his influence, and the systems that allegedly shielded him for years. The documentary centered alleged victims and examined patterns of control and exploitation tied directly to him. It did not name Snoop Dogg as a participant in any crimes, nor did it present footage showing him involved in wrongdoing. The narrative that 50 Cent secretly protected Snoop remains speculation, not established fact. Curtis Jackson has stated in interviews that he exposed what could be verified and what his legal team was prepared to defend. A crucial distinction in an era where online theories often move faster than documented proof.
Diddy was doing a documentary thinking he was going to come out triumphant.
Yeah, I didn't know that's how this started, is he started filming himself and getting this footage because he thought he was going to beat everything. Okay,
Diddy
that makes sense. Okay.
Has a relationship
with Netflix. I knew that.
With
Ted Sarandis. I saw that. Yes. Okay.
And he's filming it there. But of course, when you get, obviously it wasn't a clean sweep on the prosecutor's side, but you're still going to prison.
Yeah.
He basically kind of scraps it. It's not also Netflix is saying, because they commissioned it, right? Netflix is saying, all right, cool, just turn over what you got. And what we'll do, we'll make it what it is because we're just following reality. Diddy's like, well, hold on now. If I lost the case, I'm down to still do it with you, but I got to be able to control it. Now, Diddy was probably going to kind of shape this doc to make it look like, hey, this was malicious prosecution. They kind of went really hard at me. Mm-hmm. I'm not a perfect guy. but I am a good guy.
Yeah.
And Diddy was like, I need to be able to craft it. And Netflix was like, no, you're not. And he's like,
well, my question is, did he sign the footage over to Netflix so they own it? Mm-mm. Like, how were they able to do this without his?
No, but he didn't pay for it. So essentially, they're calling it a payment error.
Oh.
So essentially, the deal falls apart, or he's like, yeah, we're not going to do this.
So awkward.
And the people who did the work that have all this footage, they're like, so wait, you told us to film because this is going to be on Netflix. Now you're saying Netflix doesn't exist, and we're not getting paid because Diddy was going to pay with Netflix money. And Netflix realized this, and they went to the filmers and said, hey, give us the footage.
If anything, the documentary showed restraint. In a media climate that rewards shock value, it avoided naming individuals unless their alleged involvement was supported by records or testimony capable of surviving scrutiny. That's why the claims about hidden footage remain exactly that. Claims. No verified clips have surfaced. No court filings reference Snoop Dogg. No investigators have identified him as a suspect or target. Ironically, after the documentary dropped, Snoop publicly supported 50 Cent, posting statements that made it clear there was no tension between them. That alone undercuts the narrative that he was worried about what might be revealed. Fear rarely looks like open, public alignment, especially in an industry where silence is often the safer option.
We're going to look at this through the prism of a modern-day rhetorical genius. A modern-day rhetorical genius. We're talking about the one, the great, the 50 Cent. All right. This guy's skill at rhetoric is absolutely next level. And this totally ties in with, how he famously is a big fan of Sun Tzu, The Art of War. Now, rhetoric with a capital R, I can just give you the definition of that. That's basically public speech, particularly public speech that is to persuade. Any persuasive public speech is rhetoric, right? Now, we kind of break that down into two subcategories of rhetoric with a lowercase r and dialectic. Rhetoric is essentially everything else, and really what moves the needle with like 97% of people and 100% of groups, okay, is in fact rhetoric with the lowercase r. So again, stuff like this, 50 Cent is an absolute master of. Basically, he dropped this doc, this 50, this Sean Puffy Combs doc, and it's just kind of set the internet on fire. It's beating out Stranger Things. Like, it's a wild ride to watch, right? And one of the things that he does is he breaks down Diddy's character on Diddy's own terms.
One of the most repeated talking points traces back to testimony from Courtney Burgess, who claimed to possess flash drives allegedly linked to Kim Porter. According to Burgess, the drives contained images and videos of celebrities in compromising situations. Online creators didn't wait for confirmation. They filled in the blanks themselves, inserting names like Snoop Dogg into the narrative. But several critical details often get ignored. Kim Porter's children publicly rejected the authenticity of any supposed memoir or materials attributed to her. Federal authorities have not confirmed the contents of the alleged drives, and in official investigations, individuals appearing in questionable material are treated as potential victims unless evidence proves otherwise, not automatic perpetrators.
Because he wanted them to, both Suge and Pac,
In the car?
they only Pac, and they don't Suge. So allegedly, they got paid $500,000. The $500,000 was paid to the guy on the right, all the way to the right. You see the guy on the right, Corey? He's the one allegedly that got the $500,000, and that money never went to Keefe or anybody else. The guy on the left is the one that stole the chain, the chain, which was a Death Row Records chain. That's a way of saying I got your rapper's chain, because if you were one of the guys, Death Row. So long story short, this whole thing is a recording that he said this. So what does Diddy do? Rob, can you pull up this song? It's a song called Black Rob, featuring Mark Curry and Mario Winans. If you can just type in lyrics, okay? So he gets $1 million Can you go to the lyrics? And Diddy's in the lyrics when he gets started. Go a little bit lower. Boom. Can you type in the word in there, Rob? Nice guy. Type Control F, nice guy. Okay, right there. Look at it's 1999. No more Mr. Nice Guy. Been nice too long. I'm just gonna start making y'all disappear. Man, first I'm gonna take your records off the radio. Then I'm gonna erase your social security number. Take your birth certificate out, flies. I'm gonna do your whole effing family. Ain't nothing but mercy. And then, by the way, in the lyrics, he says, I'll drop $1 million on your head to erase you. Can you type in, I'll drop $1 million, just put Control F. Just go to Google and type this out. I'll drop $1 million on your head. I'll drop $1 million on your head and just put Diddy next to it. Right there. See, it says Black Rob. What song came up?
Phrase.
I'll drop $1 million on your head. Erase you and your whole family, biatch.
Wow.
He's saying it in the song on what he did to get rid of Tupac.
What an idiot.
For being out there and allowing Misa to come out there to make money, however she was doing it, to feed her family. He vowed down that it's like, yo, I ain't never fucking with her again, and I ain't never fucking with him again. Puff and Suge had a conversation behind the House of Blues about was we all right, and Tupac was alive. Tupac wasn't dead. So if it was a war, Suge ain't having no conversation with Puff about we good. I know he could be doing the Hoboken hustle, trying to fool a brother. But had he killed my man or something like that, I wouldn't have no conversation with Puff. I'd been like, yo, you know what y'all niggas done? You know what happened? And it wasn't no conversation like that, brother. It wasn't no conversation whereas that, Suge made Puff feel like I'm going to get you a payback for what happened to Jake. This was more so that Puff, for whatever reason, Suge, for whatever reason he was mad at Puff, and Puff, for whatever reason he was mad at Suge, it was between them two. It wasn't no whole East Coast wanted the West Coast dead, and the West Coast wanted East Coast to dead, because they still was going out, still chilling, still at places with each other. It was Bad Boy, and it was Death Row. It wasn't no East Coast and no West Coast. West Coast dudes were still coming out on the East Coast getting love. East Coast niggas was still going out on the West Coast getting love. It was Bad Boy versus Death Row. And that's what it was, bro. And it was because of the two CEOs. But Suge tried to straighten it out. I got to get at the Suge. The Death Row East Coast, the Death Row East was going to bring in Eric B. It was going to bring in Big D. And those brothers was from the East Coast. So now, they was looking for a representative to come to the meeting from Bad Boy so they could straighten out the between Pac and Big and Death Row and Bad Boy. And Puff is the one who refused. Puff is the one to refuse to send a representative or either come himself. And got mad at Zip and them because they were in the Mirage on 57th Street partying with Suge Knight. Got mad at them. And Zip hung up the phone on him behind that.
But what you mean?
Snoop Dogg now finds himself at the center of one of the internet's favorite habits, turning mystery into accusation, recycling old grudges as if they're new evidence, and stretching speculation until it feels like fear. But once you strip away the dramatic thumbnails and reaction clips, what's left is straightforward. There's no verified footage, no charges, no disappearance. The louder narrative isn't about Snoop panicking. It's about how quickly stories form when a powerful figure like Diddy falls and everyone who once stood nearby becomes suspicious by association. As the fallout continues and more facts surface, the real issue isn't who the internet wants to drag into the spotlight next. The real question is whether truth will be allowed to speak louder than rumor, or whether speculation will keep handing out verdicts before evidence ever gets its turn. Let us know what you think in the comments below. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit subscribe so you don't miss what comes next. Until then, keep it real.